Hey everyone! I'm really excited about this video because for the past few months when I was talking about queer representation in media, I was mostly talking about productions from either the US or Canada, maybe even Brazil, I read. But today I'll be talking about LGBTQIA productions from my own country. Tomorrow the Dutch Film Festival starts, which is called het Nederlands Film Festival, or NFF. And they have quite a big list of LGBTQ productions. And they've sent me the list and I picked my favorite ones. So these are not the only titles available, but these are my favorite ones. And most of them have English subtitles. So if you're around, go visit the festival. They're pretty cool productions. You know, if you don't live in my country, then maybe these films will come to a film festival near you. So yeah, let's start. The first feature film that I want to talk about is Taxi Stories, because it was the biggest surprise to me. I have to be honest, before watching this movie I was the least fascinated by it. I knew that there would be 3 storylines in one movie and they would all revolve around a taxi ride, and there would be, class differences would be highlighted, and there would be some LGBT elements in it. And like I said, it was the big surprise to me. It takes place in Beijing, Hong Kong and Jakarta, and I was immediately drawn in because of the colors and the people. I really wanted to know the backstories of the main characters. I was constantly wondering where the stories were going. I was disgusted at times and intrigued at other times. There were a lot more LGBTQIA elements than I expected. Let me tell you though, this movie will not make us people look good. We are a pretty disappointing bunch. You will definitely have feelings after watching this movie. The second film I want to talk about is actually a short documentary. It's called Manos Balls, and it focuses on Amber, who wants to bring the ballroom scene to the Netherlands and Belgium. She puts a lot of time and love and effort and money into it. If this is your first introduction to the ballroom dancing scene, then wait a bit. Read about it a bit more or watch some movies about it, because if you are constantly wondering what is ballroom, then you're missing the point of the documentary. So you need a little introduction first. What I like about this documentary is that it does not only show confident performer Amber. It also shows vulnerable Amber, who doesn't want to cry but does when she talks about her family. You just feel for her. And what I knew about the ballroom dancing scene is that it also means being a family, and she finds that in this scene, and she brings that love to other people as well. So that was really beautiful, and it made it much more relatable. The film festival shows Otherland right before Manos Balls, and I understand that because it's a very short documentary of only 13 minutes, but I preferred actually watching it the other way around, because now I had my introduction to Amber and the House of Vineyard, her ballroom dancing group or family. And this focuses on one of the guys who has joined House of Vineyard, and we see him growing up on St. Martin. He feels as if he's suffocating on the island as a gay man, and through a friend who went to New York, he discovered ballroom, and they practiced in the dark, because had they been caught, they would have been killed. And you see him up to the moment that he arrives in Rotterdam. And you see him dancing, you see him all by himself, you see him with his mom. And it's really beautiful. And it's done in slow motion, so you can still watch all the dancing while listening to his story. So the movie stops when he arrives in Rotterdam, and it really drew me in. I really wanted to know, like, how did he feel after he arrived? How did he end up at House of Vineyard? So yeah, it's a very up close and personal story that totally drew me in. I really liked Dost. It's a 40-minute TV drama, and the setting was very familiar to me. I grew up in the countryside as well, in a village with all these farmlands around me, and these 2 guys, they work on the land, they cut asparagus. And it's, go back to your teenage years and you'll find the movie to be very relatable. It's so awkward with their first kiss and everything, and I even felt embarrassed for them. Things change halfway the movie though. You've come on a journey with the main character, but now you start to dislike him because, well, you feel bad for him, but you feel 10 times worse for the other guy. the peer pressure in this group is real. I think the scenery is absolutely beautiful. Like I said, it's very familiar, and those actors, they're perfectly cast. Stella Dost is a short film of only 22 minutes. So that sounds short, but to me it still felt a little long, and I'll tell you why. It focuses on Tariq, who rents a holiday home from Jonas. And there are few lines and long moments of silence. And that's very powerful because it really makes you wonder what Tariq is thinking, what he is seeing. And you can clearly tell that he's having inner struggles. So that's very powerful, but at the same time, that also made it feel a bit long for me. Boredom took me by surprise too. It's a short documentary of 54 minutes, and you see two completely different worlds. And only one main character. It's Matthijs, who still frequents the rave world even though he's 42. And in the first moments, you just feel his loneliness. He's in big crowded festivals and he's still lonely. It's very painful to watch. And you learn that he has a boyfriend, but at home things are not that great. You can definitely tell. And in his attic he has this big collection of model trains, and you can tell that that's where he feels safe. And then things change, because you wonder, what is a guy like him doing in a piano store? Well, then he starts playing, and you understand. The end is very emotional and heartwarming, because it's just great to see someone finally getting recognized for his talents, and it has obviously not happened to him at all. Flum only lasts 60 minutes, and I wish it had lasted longer. It's about this camping trip of two friends, two girls, and they meet three French guys. And the first thing you notice is the colors. They're like neon colors everywhere, a bright pink. And at a certain point they smoke weed. And it just feels like you're watching everything in a haze yourself. It's pretty cool. It's also very relatable, because you can probably remember a moment when you had a really big crush on someone and they start making out right in front of you with someone else. You can probably also remember the stupid things you did after that. Well, it's all in this movie, and it's great. Julia and Juliet is also a brilliant short film. It's only 11 minutes long, and Julia and Juliet, they're both in a juvenile detention center. Well, we know what it's like with lesbian relationships in institutions. Think of Orange is the New Black and Wentworth. Well, we now have Julia and Juliet. And what this short film has done so brilliantly is they convey the sense of confinement so well. The two girls, they speak to each other through ventilation systems. They find really short moments together. They whistle when they are in the same room together so that they know that the other person is around. And what is also really well done is that they have taken the main elements of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet and that they've worked it into those 11 minutes. Yeah, it's great to see this modern adaptation of the classic. Dante versus Muhammad Ali is an absurd and entertaining short film. It lasts 28 minutes and you're constantly wondering what the setting is. It feels like you're watching a medieval movie, or maybe a play turned into a movie, because the way Wolf talks, and he calls himself Dante, it's just so absurd. But then the clothing, they remind me of the 80s or 90s. And where in the world is a village so occupied with a weekly boxing match on a boat? So this movie raises a lot more questions than you will ever get answered. But it's okay, because the love story, it guides you through all the weirdness. And that's fun. If you know a bit about this festival, then you know that I'm leaving out one important production. It's called On Plus. It's a lesbian web series that will actually premiere at this festival. Because of that, they don't have any preview materials yet. This Sunday, 2 episodes will drop on the website, and they will probably have some preview material for me on that day as well. If that's the case, I will dedicate a full video to this web series next week because I feel like it's really something that matches my YouTube channel and my own personal interests. So, see you next week. What? Hey! Oh no, I can't go to YouTube's page yet because I don't have enough subscribers. If you want more queer content, and I think you do, subscribe to my channel. Help me out.